conversation around data-driven marketing is an interesting one, and I have this debate with many people over long periods of time. So I'm always of the opinion that you should look at a data-informed decision rather than a data-driven decision. There's still a human element. So if data drives everything that you do, then you will miss out on that human element that's quite important with customer integration.
Yeah, so we really say let the data speak for itself. It's definitely something that we have our best practices and a lot of industry experience. But it really does come down to what's resonating with your customer base. Something that resonated with somebody else's customer base in the same industry might not resonate with your customer base.
So I think the balance that you need to understand is what can the platform do to deliver me the insight to drive the consumer engagement? And then where does the human element in to make some of those decisions on what we actually do with that data? When do we communicate? How do we communicate? How do we engage? When do we create a particular flow? The balance there can be quite tricky because in one aspect, you don't want the platform doing everything, but in the other aspect, you probably don't want the humans doing everything because they could do better things.
Yeah, so data can be used in a bunch of effective ways. One thing we often talk about at Klaviyo is communicate with the right person, with the right information at the right time. All of that sounds great, but it's all driven by data. How do you know who the right person is? You have the data that backs it up. Or how do you know when the right time is? Because you've got the data from when the last time they typically click on an email is. It's all backed up by that data.
If you're doing the data capture bit right, the ability to then interact and then execute and action the data that you're achieving then falls on your marketing and your e-commerce teams and your customer teams to actually drive engagement through the consumer.
Data is really important to my role as a writer and a storyteller because I'm able to see exactly what messaging works for what group. There's no point in sending a large blast email out to everyone because the same words won't always work with the same sorts of people. I use data quite a lot to really hone in on what these people want, what they're looking for, and how they want to interact with the brand. You're not going to have the same relationship with everyone in your life, just the same as you won't have the same relationship with every customer.
I think the better you know the customers, the more competitive advantage you would have against your peers. If you can deeply understand the analytics behind your customers, it's ultimately only going to empower you to become more data rich and equip you with the skills that you need to create long-term longevity.
So the amount of data that the merchant has on the customers really allows them to tailor their strategies on how they're going to engage with the consumer base, whether it be via a channel agnostic approach, whether it be the time of day they're engaging with them, whether it be with the products that they're recommending through a particular site or an email channel. So I think using that data at a granular level, but also at an aggregated level to drive that personalization at scale is the way of the future.